All right, what is going on, everyone? Vega here for SerpentX Tech. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Caffeine Crypto, where I welcome you to join me with your favorite caffeinated beverage, like some Dogecoin coffee or some NOS, whichever you prefer, energy drink, Red Bull, whatever it may be. If you don't like caffeine, get some water. I do have a special guest with me today, Hobbyist Miner, as we have a few things to talk about in the news and what's going on. How are you doing, Hobbyist? Let me get the desktop audio. There you go. You are now live, sir. How are you doing today?
Doing good. I got my required. I feel like it's a requirement, but I got it in my Bitcoin cup. Don't know is the best time to put it in my Ethereum cup. Don't want to rock that too much, but no, doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Good deal. Good deal. It was definitely a day yesterday, so thank you for coming on the show. We're going to get some topics back up here. It seemed to disappear for whatever reason. Let me bring that back up for us here. Of course. Where'd it go? Where'd my second one go? There we go. All right. So let's bring this to the forefront. Obviously, market is still suffering, right? So Bitcoin, 29,000. Ethereum is back under 2K. We started at the beginning of this week. Basically, Bitcoin was around 31K. We fell all the way down to the 28K range, and now we're at 29.4. You can see we're kind of putting in a descending wedge of some type, but the problem is, guys, zoom out. Zoom out. Life is okay. We will be just fine. Not the first bear market, won't be the last. So, first on the news, of course, Ethereum. We got a lot of Ethereum topics to talk about, but this is something that obviously needs to be discussed. So there's an event going on, right? The ETH Shanghai Web 3.0 Developer Summit, and Vitalik said if there are no problems, then the merge will happen in August. The merge is the highly anticipated upgrade to Ethereum. If all goes smoothly, we'll shift the major blockchain from proof of work to proof of stake. Vitalik says, of course, there are always risk of problems, and there are also risk of delays. If such problems or delays arise, the merge might be pushed to September or October, he said. Nonetheless, the merge at this point is looking like it's very close to happening. Ethereum will finally become proof-of-stake network. But Buterin's comments come after Ethereum developers confirmed Rasputin on one of Ethereum's key test networks will undergo or happen on June 8th. This is a major test, larger than any of the other tests we've had done before, Buterin says. If all goes well with Rasputin, then it's likely the plan will merge and will happen this summer. Moving on, just reinforcing this point, this topic has been covered in great detail by all your faves. As far as we know, if everything goes to plan, August makes sense. If we don't have to move the difficulty bomb, which is what miners are concerned about, let's do it as soon as we can. Ethereum researcher Justin Drake echoed this thought and suggested that they intended to roll out the merge in August, he added. Strong desire to make this happen before the difficulty bomb in August. The difficulty bomb was introduced years ago in order to stay on par with the imminent transition to proof of stake. The difficulty bomb will reportedly make it hard for POW miners to solve the puzzle during the mining process. Furthermore, this will eventually make mining difficulty and eventually make the mining difficult and decrease the chances of POW mining. The much awaited shift to proof of stake, and this is where I detract from this section here, comes with the array of benefits. Reduced energy consumption is a prominent one, with regulators calling out proof of work cryptocurrencies. Ethereum's transition from proof of work to proof of stake is considered to be timely. Along with this, the level of decentralization is reportedly elevated as it requires several validators who would be running the network. Okay, not going to get too much detail into this, but most of your validators are running on a centralized network that can easily be taken down or have an issue, and Amazon has had issues in the past. We've been seeing a huge amount of attacks on major infrastructure companies, but we're not going to get into that topic. Point being, August was said. Why was August said?
That they have preset of
I said it in the past.
July-ish, I think is going to be delayed, as I've been calling for in the past couple of videos, to maybe August, September.
That was back in the day. I've been calling for August, September from the start, and I think that pretty much echoes throughout much of the ecosystem, right? So June 8th, Rasputin, merge, see how that goes. We see what the next dev meetings will produce, and then we'll see if August happens. If not, I'm thinking August, September. Hobbyist has a tweet here. ETH devs don't care if the world burns as long as they get to the merge finish line. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, so it's definitely really interesting right now. The word confidence is very much lacking in the entire scene revolving around Ethereum. I think there's a lot of blinders on with our developers, and so it's just like finish line is there, and that's all I care about, and everything else just needs to move with me. And so yeah, that tweet I put out in relation to a tweet thread that has like Tim Biko on it, and also has Bitsby Tripping on it. And Bitsby Tripping and Carter was asking some really good questions regarding like testing and impacts on applications on the ETH layer. And you definitely got that feeling. You don't even have to be a miner. You could just be an investor or within the development space. You definitely got that feeling where it was like, well, we're moving forward and everybody else just has to move with us. It was very much like a we don't care mentality. And I think I'm very curious on if you get the same feeling of there's this like fake finish line that seems to be like in like Tim Biko's mind and everyone's mind on the development team. That's like, we need to hit this by this date. And it's like, we don't care the impact of anything. The challenge is like, look at the financial and economic impact now that this will cause if it just, as my tweet said, everything just burns. And they're like, great, we made it to the finish line. What are your thoughts on some of that?
I think that's a poor mentality to have, especially for such a robust ecosystem with so many various layers dependent upon this going well, right? DApp, DeFi, this ecosystem of Ethereum is amazing. I'm happy to see the growth of Ethereum. I'm happy to see how far the product has come from the past to now, but the mentality is not one. It's unsettling, right? So Tim Biko here says in response to Bits, which I was talking to Michael last night, definitely on the apps to test. In response, let me read Mike's here. So Tim, is there a source you guys are tracking on how many key services are done with basically their testing? Things like Uniswap, other bridges, OpenSea, etc. It's on them to test. You ship anyway? ? And that's where Hobbyist is talking about entrance and exit criteria for the transition. And then Tim responds, definitely on the apps to test, and we won't delay the merge if, say, OpenSea didn't get the memo. I've reached to several, shared some on Twitter, and give it that not much changes from smart contracts. It would be weird for the issues to happen on the app level. So because it shouldn't have an impact at the app level, there shouldn't be any issues with OpenSea, etc. But I would still think there would be some testing that they would need to do for their various, platforms, whatever it may be. Bit says here, playing devil's advocate, I don't think that's how it works unless you want the center of significant litigation. Right now, wrong or indifferent, the merge scorches earth, and the service like OpenSea with bugs out the NFT scene. Imagine there would be some fallout. What I mean by that is basically these tests are important for them to accomplish to make sure everything's good to go before you roll this thing out. And basically, to me, what I understand is they're going to ship it regardless. And if there's bugs on OpenSea, bugs on Uniswap, bugs on MakerDAO, bugs on whatever platform you like, it is their problem and their problem only. So Bits raised a good point, and he actually did a video on it, which I challenge you guys to go check out. If the merge
it's a good one
is near, what's left and what's left missing, where he's like, I just want to know, are you in communications with these various platforms? Are they aware? Have they done some tests? What is the criteria? Have they went through their checklist? And I actually asked the same thing. I was like, hey, do you guys have a checklist, or can anyone confirm everything is good to go as we draw closer to the merge ship date? Ethereum, like, seriously, can anyone confirm testing or not yet? Or are you waiting for the final in July? Like, are you waiting for the final, all right, June 8th, Rasputin's good. This is going to be the final revision. And I think I was calling it a code freeze, which was incorrect. And a number of you corrected me on that. I appreciate it, by the way. But the final baseline, I guess you could say, once that's there, is that when, you know, some of these dApps or applications or whatever are going to continue, are going to test. So it'd be very interesting to see how the market plays out in this, because we've seen a huge impact. And that's why I disagree with the first article about proof of stake being decentralized. Luna's proof of stake. Luna is not proof of work, and we've seen that thing collapse.
Poster child right there. Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
So like, proof of work in my mind is more decentralized and has a little bit more security than a proof of stake coin. However, there are some changes that they can make. And I'm not a dev. I'm not an expert in the Ethereum ecosystem. I just know that I'm looking for things to be done, and I don't know those things. And I'm worried, just like Mike is, about what's going to happen with the ecosystem. So like MakerDAO, Uniswap, SushiSwap, there's so many different platforms out there. It's ridiculous.
OpenSea. Yeah, OpenSea is like the big one mentioned there. Yeah, I think it's very interesting, because I'm coming at it more from a miner perspective and like a profitability perspective. You know, that's the lenses that I wear, versus more on like the project side and things like that. And everybody has a different approach to it. A lot of our audiences are up the GPU avenue. Totally understand. And like right now, you know, crypto profits across the board are down significantly. But when you're looking at this and you're like, okay, if we're in the same state we are in today in 3-4 months, where they're claiming that they want to roll this out by, or that, hey, that's what we're aiming for, which is so funny, because they're like, in that post from the summit, it was like, if there's no problems, and it's like, problem seems relative. No testing is a problem to me. No testing to them is not a problem. And so talking about price point there, it's like, we're looking at profitability as GPU miners. Like that's the lens that we wear traditionally. And so I have very little confidence. And this was just going back even maybe 2 to 3 months ago, and it really settled in. And it was like, I have very little confidence that as we approach proof of stake, that Ethereum's price point is going to be higher.
Right.
Like, I don't know that I've talked to anybody who's like, oh yeah, when proof of stake hits, Ethereum's going to go through the roof. It's going to rocket. Why? And they're not making it easy for that argument, because as you get closer, the use case scenario is becoming less and less. And then if half of your projects are broken because they weren't tested, that's going to bomb. Like, have they not seen Luna? Granted, different situation, but It's a very good example of, you can go from this price point to this price point super quick. And no one is forgiving in that regard. The challenge is like, this doesn't put good faith from an outsider's perspective looking in on crypto, when it's like, okay, how are we going to get this to be more traditional within the investment space? And then we have these curveballs that occur. Like a Luna, that's a rough example. Well, what if Ethereum is the same situation? It goes to proof of stake, and then all of a sudden it breaks everything.
Right.
All those investments are gone. Like, people are out. Like, and all of a sudden, what else is left to have that? I mean, thankfully, we still have Bitcoin out there. But imagine if Bitcoin wasn't in the forefront and it was just Ethereum, and Ethereum was our representative. Ethereum was the representative to the world as to cryptocurrency. And it's like, don't invest in cryptocurrency because this could happen.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you go from a $4,000 price point down to, I mean, we're talking, it could drop down to hundreds. I mean, we are sub 2,000.
Right.
And we are not even at a point where it's at proof of stake and that the project launches abysmally. Imagine where that would be. We're talking like cut this in half, 50%. You're sub 1,000. I mean, I can't believe I'm even talking about that with Ethereum.
Yeah. So the target they have to hit is a reachable goal. I just think they need to slow down, double check, verify, confirm with all your major players, which I'm assuming there's some discussion in the background. There better be some discussion in the background with these major platforms and stuff like that. But the attitude represented online was not a good attitude to have, and that to me that deters me from Ethereum. That's why a lot of miners have shifted away from Ethereum already. That's why we had the great hash rate migration, where we did a 1-day 24-hour test. We're gonna do another test next weekend on the 27th. If you don't know about that, get in the Discord. But yeah, they just need to They need to. I don't know what happened, man. This new girl that I got called Ethereum. She's so shiesty, man. She thinks she's above the world. She needs to chill out.
Yeah, you definitely get that mindset when you're looking at some of the dev posts. When you're looking at just the mentality of it's an elitist mentality, and it is not taking it like when I look at some of these tweets and some of these projections and lack thereof, we'll say care. It's like you could do this in two different ways. You could do this polished, perfect, tested, and it gets out the door, and it is a good representation and use case scenario in the scene of like going from proof of work to proof of stake. Or you could, on the flip side, make it a giant CF barreling down the highway, falling apart on the way there, and gets to the finish line, but you're down to a frame with no wheels and running on your wheels with no tires. And you're like, it's like you just squeak across that finish line. You're like, we made it. But nothing works. It's broken and it's like worth nothing. So I think there's two different avenues you can absolutely go. And this absolutely from the outside, like who would invest in Ethereum right now? Who is coming in? I don't know very many people that are like, I'm buying the dip of Ethereum. Maybe Bitcoin, I hear it all the time, which I think is a wise decision. But with proof of stake lingering and not looking very, the confidence level is down to 1. It's like, man, I don't know who's investing in Ethereum right now. I don't know anybody who I've talked to who's like, yeah, I just snapped up a ton of Ethereum because I'm getting it low, so it goes high. Absolutely not.
No, I hear the same thing. People buying a dip on, not financial advice, buying a dip on Bitcoin. There are a few other coins that are like super discounted right now, or super discounted earlier. Like right now, we're putting a nice little, we're going up in the market. But Ethereum, there's a lot of uncertainty around Ethereum, right? We got the situation with the traditional stock markets. Crypto is severely tied or aligned with the stock market. Correlated is the word I'm looking for. Aligned with the traditional stock market. So when the stock markets go bad, Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies do bad. We really need them to kind of separate from one another, right? So Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever the altcoins choose to follow, which right now is Bitcoin, just separate from the traditional stocks. And it doesn't matter what the stocks are doing, you know, Bitcoin and the cryptos go on their own. There are a few altcoins, poo coins out there that are pumping, but Ethereum, I'm not hearing a lot of people buying the dip, period. And right now, it's just not confidence building, right? Like I have confidence in some of the devs that I know a little bit more on I don't know them personally, but I know them a little bit more. I know their personality, the type of person they are.
You follow them. You follow them significantly longer and stuff
those
like
people
that,
I trust, but there's a number of them that are running the ship now that I am not familiar with. I don't like their mentality. So it doesn't bring faith for me. That's my personal opinion. That may be different for every user, but I mean, just look at where we're at. Will Ethereum pump when ETH 2.0 comes? Here's why I would pump. People would like to buy the news and sell the rumor. And so as the merge comes, we're probably going to see a pump, but we still got to battle congestion. We still got to battle crazy Ethereum prices. Let's go check out Transaction Street. Crazy Ethereum prices and gas fees. There's still a lot of upgrades that need to happen on Ethereum. And that's why I think, honestly, with the Great Migration, when the merge comes, one of the biggest winners might be Ethereum Classic, only because it's so easy to quickly, shift your focus as a farm from one currency to another, because they're basically the same. Like if it's core intensive algos, a lot of people may not switch. I got no problem switching, but a lot of people are just going to switch to whatever's easiest, and Ethereum Classic seems to be the easiest for them to move to.
Well, that's going to be the easiest pivot for your larger mining farms, because if you think about it, okay, so overclocks will stay the same,
right,
for them. Once you go from there, power management will stay the same, and then heat distribution will stay the same. So, looking at it from a labor financial perspective, the easiest pivot is day one of proof of stake for these bigger farms is to go to Ethereum Classic. Now we all know it's going to be completely overrun with ASICs, and I think we understand that. Like that's, but we really don't know that first week what's going to break out. First 2 weeks, it's going to be all over the place. But like Ethereum is just going to get left in the wind. I mean, it's been up on that pedestal for a while, and it is voluntarily taking a step down. And I just don't see it going well for anybody in that regard. I mean, I'm continuing to mine ETH as long as I can, but I'm using like two miners. I'm using two miners to convert it to Bitcoin. It's like I don't expect ETH to, like, a year from now. Do I expect ETH to go up from where it is now? No. Do I expect Bitcoin? Yeah, like I definitely expect Bitcoin. And so I'm moving more towards that stability and reliability because I think that's super important. You'd be crazy to be stacking ETH right now. I mean, what are you going to do with it? It's just going down in value. And once hit proof of stake happens, do you think all of a sudden it's going to moon? Like, what's the driving factor? There's always a driving factor.
Right.
What is going to cause ETH to moon after proof of stake? Nothing. Nothing. Like supply demand situations, nothing. Like, there is nothing. I mean, I think it's phenomenal that there's so many apps and platforms that are run on Ethereum. Fantastic. I love it. But are you going to have new teams coming in doing that? I really don't know.
Right. Well, a lot of the new teams are moving to different platforms. And what sucks is some of those ETH killers, and that's why I say they should be careful, right? Don't come out of the gates saying that you're an ETH competitor, that you're an ETH killer and stuff like that. Do not do that, because that's automatically going to put you on the spotlight. And a lot of those coins that could compete with ETH have taken huge hits. Solana, for example, a number of failures, number of issues that they've had on their network. But we don't really have a true ETH competitor as far as the same grounds, right? So we got ETH alternatives, but we don't have an ETH competitor, and they shouldn't call themselves that, because I think that automatically puts them on a bad footing. But I mean, Ethereum has made a lot of people money, and a lot of people are in the game for the profits. I understand that. I respect that. Me, I'm in it for the long haul, and I'm in it to support projects that support miners. ETH does not support miners anymore. They used to love the miners. True. We were cool with each other. Like, that's why I keep saying she's the ex-girlfriend, because we were cool. We had a great relationship, and she found a new hotness, and she wanted to move on. That new hotness is venture capitalists, and where the money's at. And where the money's at is leading them in the direction that they're going. They don't care about the little people anymore, because they got the new hotness with them. So we're going to get left in the dust. We knew they were going to proof of stake for years now. But the way they did it, the way we got dumped, right, through text message instead of an in-person conversation, is kind of shiesty. So alternatives, what alternatives are there to Ethereum right now, would you say?
Well, I think the challenge is, I think you had a really good point there. You talked about, alternatives versus competition. As of right now, we're not seeing a ton of competition. Like, there is nothing breakout as of right now. Unfortunately, we're going to be forced into alternatives. We're not going to be forced into competition. We're going to be forced into alternatives, because then it's good. Once that happens, I mean, I always love to spitball the idea of, like, hour one of day one, what does that look like? And it's going to be a giant CF. I mean, by the time we're done, that day is not going to look pretty. It's going to be all over the place. Either everything's going to drop like a rock, or everything's going to flourish. And it's been really interesting. So some of these tests that we've done and just some of these moments that have happened over the last few weeks have actually, it's been unique. When hash rate has come off of ETH and even gone on to a few here and there coins that are proof of work, their value has gone up. Like, based off of that testing that we saw this past weekend, there was a lot of value add that occurred. And it's like, oh, that's really interesting. Like, so increased hash rate is, based off of some early testing, is equivalent to increased profits. And it's like, all right, cool. So I'm eager to see, like, as these tests continue, or as we get closer to proof of work, what does that, or proof of stake, what does that look like? I mean, most of the scene tested a lot of your Flux, your Ergo, Ethereum Classic, your Raven coins, your Ion, a handful of those out there, and they did all bubble for that short period of time. Any thoughts on that, on the fact of hash rate equals increased profits?
I mean,
on a pool on a network hash rate level?
Yeah. That's why. So when we did our tests on the, my wife needed something.
on the
you're
Ethereum,
good.
on the great hash rate migration, the short answer is yes. So the hash rate, the increased hash rate will eventually turn into, as time goes on, price discovery happens, and then that coin will boost up. But obviously, there's a number of variables that have to play out, right? The difficulty is obviously going to adjust for the increased hash rate. Price discovery is going to happen, but it's going to happen over a period of time. So 24 hours wasn't enough, which is why the second test, we want to see what exactly happens. Now, the coin many of the community signed up for may not be the coin everybody wants to do. And it's not a mandatory test. Like, you guys don't have to participate. We're just asking that you would, and for the set duration. It's literally from, you can't see my calendar. It's from the 27th at 11:45 Eastern, 10:45 Central, to Monday, 11:45 Eastern, 10:45 Central. So that's the time frame. Oh, you could see my calendar, could you? Yeah, you could. All right. So anyways,
Okay.
basically, the short answer to your question, the hobbyist miner, is basically yes. The increased hash rate does eventually. So that's why I think Ethereum Classic, which will probably inherit, and I'm just gonna say a random number. I could be completely wrong. I'm gonna say about 35% of Ethereum's hash rate. That's a lot out of Ethereum's total.
I was gonna say
hash
I was
rate.
gonna say 30, but it sounds like we're on the same page. I can absolutely see that because it really comes down to if we ever had a metric that would show us farms versus like GPU miners, like ASIC farms or stuff like that. Even farms overall. I mean, you got to think like some of your larger farms that are GPU focused, they're going to swap too. It's the easiest transition. So yeah, I do agree. I'm holding my breath for things like Ergo and some of these other projects out there where it's like, okay, cool, miner friendly. Opportunity. I mean, I know people talk Flux a lot, but the nice thing is about Flux is that there's so many projects going on, and their team is very transparent and very miner centric. So
Yeah.
it's like, cool. I can relate with you because like you're talking my language. We're talking mining and projects, and it's like, cool. I like it. Proof of work, proof of work, proof of work. So that really is attractive to me. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think that first week or 2 weeks, I mean, it's going to need some time to flush out. I think we're going to be everywhere. I think you're going to be bouncing, or if you're trying, it's going to be hard because I think you as a home miner will need to make the decision of, are you following the profitability, or because there's two ways you can go, guys. You can either, even now, mine what you think is going to bubble and pop that first week or 2 or 3 or 4, or do you just chase profitability? And so that's the really challenging, because now is a great opportunity to mine some of these alternative coins because you're yielding more. Your profitability is like, there's a huge definition between profitability and yield. And if you're mining to profit today to sell tomorrow, it's not going to work out very well for you. But if you are trying to yield as much coin, give me as much as I can right now. So when it's the Wild West in the first 4 weeks of proof of stake, you may do very well because now's that opportunity to like build up those wallets. Which I wasn't a part of some of the roller coaster, the ebb and flows of mining, but I know you have been. And during that time, I assume you experienced a lot of the yielding. Like, hey man, I'm yielding X amount of coin per day when the market's low. Was that pretty spot on?
Yeah, most definitely. And that's why, so spec mining is growing so much because of the options and the choices. And you know what, matter of fact, real quick call out, you guys need to be smashing the like button. I need to see more likes on this video for 93 people watching. Thank you for everybody stopping by the way.
Let's go.
But yeah, so that's why you see me push out videos of spec mining projects that may just be in the limelight for like a whole 2 weeks and then disappear, because the yields you can get on those newer projects, which is why we tell Red Panda, shut up, give us a couple weeks to mine this coin before you tell the world.
That's right.
We love Red Panda.
Right.
We give him a hard time, but we love him. But yeah, like, when we start making videos on it, right? The hobbyists push out a video and I make a video, then we get everybody on that network, and then obviously profits go down and stuff like that. But you can spot these coins through basic means, right? Mining pool stats.stream, various outlets. What to mine doesn't always have it, but you can use what to mine's calculations to kind of, all right, this is what I get on this algorithm. How many coins should I make?
All right, what's going on? Great. I'm making, 1,000 plus coins. Like, Raven coins back up close for me now to 1,000 Raven a day on my rigs. Back in the day,
Wow.
back
And
in
you're
the day,
mining in the summertime. You're crazy.
yeah, I know, right?
Crazy.
I know, dude. Actually, matter of fact, guys, if you hear any noise, the AC guy is here, and there's a reason for that because he's 100% right. He's 100% right. Because didn't you move? No, so Chump Change moved to a trailer, but you moved your equipment to
Almost moving into a shed.
a shed.
So I'm waiting for it to be delivered. Actually, they gave me like a 10-week lead time, but I'll be doing a video this week, and I bought everything for it. Like I'm gonna do a video on the design of it and everything like that. I've been doing so much research on like container designs and stuff like that to figure it out. So right now I'm pretty good, but it's also because everything's in here. I got stuff in my garage. I got stuff in a 4th bedroom, and like today the wife gave me the old, "Can we move that stuff out? It's getting really hot up there." I'm like, "Yep." Wife asked me to do it. It's doing it, and now our garage is like 105 degrees. I'm like, "All right." So I was running a S19J Pro in my garage, and it was hot as hell. I mean, it was fine. All the temps were coming back good, but I wanted to run it for 2 weeks straight to get some metrics because I want to do a video on that this week. And today was my 15th day, so now I could unplug it. So it's unplugged right now. It's just it's doing pretty good from a yield perspective. But I'm just talking about heat. I'm like, man, this man's talking about Raven coin.
Yeah.
I'm like, it is not winter. You don't talk Raven coin unless it's cold outside.
Right. Well, I do switch to a lot of core intensive algos during the winter. I open up now because I have a tent. I would open up the tent, let the heat radiate in. I take the fan, the exhaust fan, I turn it off because I have. You guys know the setup. If not, you guys need to pay attention to the channel. It will come out soon. Because it's hot here in Florida. It's hot here in Florida, but I love Florida. As crazy as it is, yes, as much as we hear Florida man,
Yeah, Florida man in the news.
like there's always a Florida man and there's always a Florida woman.
Yep.
It's like, oh, come on. But anyways,
Crazies.
so mining Raven coin, I'm up to 1,000 a day now. When earlier, right before the fork, we were I think 350, 500. So it's the halvening. But the profitability went down, the hash rate went down, the difficulty went down, so Raven profits went up. So it really just depends on the situation. I think a percentage of the Ethereum miners are going to go to Raven coin. How much is that? Maybe not as much as Ethereum Classic, maybe not as much as Ergo, maybe not as much as Flux.
Sure.
But just as I mentioned in the past, my top coins that people are going to move to are Ethereum Classic, Flux, Ergo, Raven coin. I would like to see people go to Conceal. That's a project that I support. My brother Savage Mind supported that project. It's a privacy-focused project that has a lot of opportunity there, and I think a lot of people are sleeping on it. But I don't think a lot of people know about it. So I'm going to try to create some content on that particular coin. But there are other coins out there, like Kryptonite _GPU coins have been popping, right? So Equilibra, and I don't really know too much about that project. It's been pumping. Rio pumped a little bit this past week. Conceal dropped down a little bit, but it's been like these coins, Kryptonite _GPU coins, have been the top most profitable, specifically for AMD, but also on the Nvidia side, at least in the top 10. And I have a series where I go over what was the most profitable cryptocurrency to mine. It's not so much looking forward, but I'm taking data, presenting it to the community, and then you guys can make a determination on which project you should consider mining for the future. That's the intent behind it. But I do that, and I've been seeing the constant. Ethereum's always number one. When it was LHR, when we had LHR GPUs, Zero was number one on the LHR GPUs. But Zero is a project with only so many pools, very Asia centralized cryptocurrency, which is nothing wrong with that. It's just I like to see things kind of a little bit more spread out around the world and stuff like that. But besides that was Kryptonite _GPU type coins, Flux, Ethereum Classic will falter every now and then. So the landscape is going to shift so much, and I'm excited for it because once Ethereum is no longer mineable, what is everybody going to do? Like, we already have an idea what people are voting for, but what are they actually going to do? Like, some person might vote for Ethereum Classic, but they might go Ergo, or some person might say they go to Raven coin, but they go Flux. So we really got to see how everything settles, and once everything settles, obviously, when a lot of people move to the network, we're going to have a spike in difficulty, we're going to have an increase in hash rate, and then over time, we'll see what it levels down to, and then that's when the price discovery starts to happen.
Yeah, I was looking at as you were talking about different projects and stuff like that that are out there for when the merge occurs, and even right now, like we're in May, end of May, but I took like a 30/60 off of what to mine and started to look at what is recommended. The interesting thing is if you look, Ethereum is 72, and this is off a 10-cent kilowatt hour. Ethereum's only at 72 cents per day, which is so brutal to say those things. But Conflux is only 12 cents less. Not even. Yeah. So it's like, holy cow, like that is a huge, like that's really close together. And so if you were to, or 8 cents actually, quick math is terrible, but it's like 8 cents difference. 8 cents. So it's like, just take Ethereum, just delete it out of that equation. Now, granted, all that hash rate has to go somewhere. So it's really hard to make like really good predictions right now. Like based off of this, Conflux as of today is where you would go. But all these other networks don't have the hash rate. Boatloads and boatloads of hash rate has to go somewhere. So I think that's what's really going to be the big one. And I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I haven't been a part of any of this. I mean, I'm still a new miner, 15, 16 months into it. And I still consider myself a new miner. We don't have as many new miners coming into the scene right now in 2022 as we did in 2021 because of profitability. And it was new and there was that FOMO mentality. But the fact is like, it's really the crypto scene, as hard as it is with the profitability right now, is really exciting to be a part of. With all the ebb and flows, the news that comes out, how it's becoming more mainstream, talking about cryptocurrency, mining is becoming more well-known. It's not this just like basement dweller mentality anymore. It's really exciting to be a part of. Unfortunately, going back to our original conversation on like proof of stake and Ethereum having their stuff together and being ready to move forward, I really do feel that Ethereum going to proof of stake sloppy is going to very much hurt the overall cryptocurrency scene and industry than it is going to help.
I couldn't agree more.
Awesome.
I don't 1.1 petahash. How do you divide 1 petahash amongst all of these cryptos? What is even 35% of 1 petahash? I don't even know how to calculate that. Common Core wasn't my math thing. Sorry.
Right.
So wait, all right. So 1,000 hashes is 1 mega hash. 1,000 mega hash is 1 giga hash.
What was it? 300 terahash. Right, because it's 1,000, right?
Right.
Am I right there? I mean, either way, that's going to destroy some of these networks that aren't. The crazy thing is like we did that test a little bit ago on like the network, on like the hash rate migration. That was like very small portion. I mean, if we were 1%, whatever that was of that network, great. Now take that, and it's like now try to spread that out. I mean, it's going to be nuts. Half of these projects have never seen that type of hash rate before.
Right.
So it's gonna be crazy. It'll be a good day to take it off. Take off that day from work and just hang around and either watch the world burn or watch things go very well. But either way, I think it'll be exciting.
My math is probably wrong, but I'm basically calculating the Ethereum Classic network hash rate to jump up from 25 terahash to 60 terahash.
Wow.
So that's a 50% increase on Ethereum Classic, and that math is bad. Don't. This is not Bible. I could be wrong 100%. It could be a bigger percentage that go to other coins, but I'm super interested to see how the landscape shapes out. But right now we're down to the high. Let's look at the all-time high of the hash rate. Okay, we got to go back a little bit more. All right, so the all-time high on Ethereum's network was, if you would give it to me, please. Thank you. No. 1.2, 1.12 petahash. So we're not too far off the all-time high. And we did see on the 13th, look at this. We went from 1.12 all the way down to 957 terahash. So we did drop quite a bit. And that was just GPU miners. I don't think a lot of big farm switch, maybe a few big farm switch. Yeah. But this is not counting for ASICs. And like, the whole mentality that we had back when EIP 1559 was happening and listening to InnoSilicon, in on the EIP dev meetings and stuff like that, really continuing to produce ASICs, even though they know the merge is coming. that made us think, like, why would you continue to make ASICs if you know the merge is coming? Like, so
Yeah,
they knew something we didn't know. They knew they had time, and so they did have time. They're able to still make a profit on those devices, sell those devices. And here we are getting closer to the merge. Speculation is, just to recap for some of the people that are new, June 8th, Rasputin. We'll see what happens the following dev meeting after June 8th. And then they're projecting August to be the time that the merge actually happens. I've called for August, September in the past. A lot of the scene, or a lot of the, if we switch back to the screen here, a lot of the main people, Vitalik, various devs, people in the space, crypto miners that you love and know, are all thinking about August is where we're at. But they still have the option that, they could delay the difficulty bomb, but it doesn't look like they're going to. Right now, if we look at the block times, we're nowhere near bad. Like, we're at the high of 13.89. We're at 13.77 now. So we're not bad whatsoever. But block times are going to get higher. And
yeah,
they
I saw
can always
that. They're
push
starting
it.
to poke up there. Yeah, I saw that. We peaked up here 13.89 for some of our Ethereum average block time, and yeah, it's just slowly creeping over time. I mean, for those of you guys that are looking for, how it's relevant and stuff like that, the lowest that we've seen since January was 12.9, and now it's just slowly each day, just a slow increase. And for those of you guys not familiar, as our block time gets longer, our profitabilities as GPU miners will slowly start to come down. And so it's like block time rises, and GPU the profitability comes down, and then eventually, and what that's occurring is, like, if you guys remember, within the last several months, it was a talk about like efficiency and like, okay, what GPUs do I turn off because they're not as efficient anymore? This is going to literally, you're going to see this start to occur more and more, where GPUs powered off. And the hard part is it's going to be this lull period for a lot of miners with older cards, not as efficient cards, that they are turning them off or trying to sell them, but selling them for abysmal prices right now because no miner is looking for it. So now you're just looking for a guy that's looking to buy it up for like a PC they're building for like their kid type of deal. Like a 580, for example, like the great example, like, oh, I want to buy that for my kid. He plays Minecraft. Perfect avenue to go. But there's also the flip side, where then you're also going to have these speculative miners that are buying up a whole bunch of 580s because they're like, listen, that guy's looking for like a year and a half down the road when he's mining something totally different, not Ethereum at all, and he wants to have those cards super cheap. So who knows what'll happen? But yeah, the block time is so critical. If people aren't following that, it's really interesting to follow along on that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the secondhand market, GPU pricing has gotten better. I'm sure a number of
love it.
Yeah, I'm sure a number of people have noticed that. I'm full. I can't spend any more money. I'm near my heat limit, but of course I'm still buying GPUs. I have a problem, okay? We all have a problem, but it's good. I'd rather have this problem than, say, a drug problem or a woman problem. I'd rather have cars and computer problems. Well, when I say cars and computer problems, I mean like not breaking down and fixing. I'm talking about like, getting parts and upgrading and tweaking and tuning and all that stuff. I love that. I started out as a enthusiast overclocker, not LN2, not exotic cooling, but enthusiast overclocker. I still compete on hardware bot. I took the 6950 XT and I stretched its legs. And I tried to see where I could place, and I did pretty good for one GPU. But that's what got me into it. I went from enthusiast overclocking to cryptocurrency, and it's all about tuning for efficiency. Efficiency, in my mind, is king. Yes, you can output as much power as you want and get higher hash rate, but if you can get that voltage low, that power draw low, but get the maximum hash rate, that's where the sweet spot is. And everybody's sweet spot for their rigs are different, right? The hobbyist miner may not be able to run what I can run. And I may not be especially be able to run what Red Panda can run because he's in Canada and I'm in Florida. I'm closer to the equator. It's hotter. So there's a lot of variables, but the beautiful thing is the community. Don't lose the community. Even though Ethereum's doing this and they're doing not shady stuff, but kind of stuff that disregarding the little person. Don't lose that community that we have together, right? Let's not start turning on each other and bad mouthing each other. Let's just I do my content because I want to help people and I want to share data, and then you can use that data and produce your own video and be like, hey, Vega said this, but this is what I got. Then somebody else can compare and contrast, and they can be like, okay, this is where I should be with this GPU, stuff like that. Now the secondhand market, the dad buys the card 580 for his son for his system. I think the secondhand market's about to get saturated with GPUs sometime between August and September, the same time as the merge. Not that the merge is causing it, but the merge is another factor in the fact that, one, GPU stock is getting better, right? So manufacturers pushing out these GPUs. I think there was still boats off the coast of Los Angeles that were still being unloaded. Like I think most of them is cleared up now, but those GPU stock is finally hitting the shelves. Best Buy is good, Micro Center is good, everybody's getting better. So GPU stock's getting better. Prices are getting lower because the stock is getting better. Scalpers are having to sell at a loss because people aren't buying from them because they can get the GPU from somewhere else for cheap. And then we're going to see the secondhand market get saturated with GPUs. And I already started seeing that with the 5700 series, which is funny because guess what? When Team Red Miner pushed out their update, I started seeing those 5700s go for it and sell real quick.
Hey, it's smart. It absolutely is. I mean, if you were to take any card which was questionable on profitability because of the watt usage, and all of a sudden you were like, hey, guess what? That's a great example. Like, take like a 580. If all of a sudden you were to take a 580 and cut the hash rate in half, now it's super attractive. Now you're like, okay, cool. I like where we're at. But that's really the rough spot. I have kept my purchasing up on GPUs. I actually bought a whole bunch more recently because, just like you said, availability and price. When I'm seeing 6600s, which are very efficient cards right now on Ethereum for the watts and the hash rate, and I'm seeing them sub $300 brand new on reputable sites like Newegg. I'm like, yes, please. Like, it's terrible for like a GPU miner. It's like crack. It's like, oh my God, really? Like it's really, that type of mentality is what you're seeing. And I mean, even as soon as the LHR unlock came out, literally the day it was announced that the LHR unlock, I went on like Facebook Marketplace. Most of my community knows I'm big on secondhand cards. I went on there looking for 3060s, and it hadn't caught up quite yet. So there were still people on there being like 3060 for $600, and it was like, what? Like that doesn't work. Even though the hash rate has gone up on those, and the demand has gone up on those in our current market, it's down. So like I remember that week I was reaching out to these people and undercutting hardcore, trying to get 3060s for $300 because it was like $300 is excuse me, insane to think about. Go back a year ago, we would not be looking at a 3060 for $300, like not a chance. And now there is that possibility between $300 and $400. There's a guy in my Discord channel. He's been buying up 3060 Ti Founders Editions for like $450. It's like, what? Founders Editions 3060 Ti's for $450? It's insanity. So like, now is a great time to get into mining if you have extra disposable income to spend. Meaning you're like, hey, I got $5,000 or $3,000 or $1,000 even, and you're like, I want to get into mining with the mentality of like, I'm not looking for profitability right now. This is your time to get into the scene. Costs for all product to get started. Your upfront costs for frames now are down hardcore. Power supplies, motherboards, all of that. Everything's cheaper. So now is a great time to step into the space with the mentality of profitability over here. Like, all right, I'll look at profitability a year from now. I just want to get in mining. I just want to start, I want to build my first mining rig. Now is a great time to step into the space, which is really hard to swallow because we as GPU miners, we take like, now's a great time in profitability, and we push them together. Profitability does not, they don't go hand in hand. It has in the past when it's like, that's why we had go back, 2 Januaries ago, everybody and their brother was stepping into the crypto mining space because profitability was through the roof. And it was silly not to get into mining then. I mean, that's when I jumped into mining, and it was like, holy cow. I remember when I first got into mining, which was 2 Februaries ago, because it was February 5th was my first YouTube video that I made on a mining rig with no GPUs. I didn't have any GPUs, but I had like a frame, a B250, and some no-name brand risers. If you go back, look at my first videos. But at that time, within about a month, I bought 12 RX 470s, 4 GB cards. I bought it for $120 each. And that was, 2 Februarys ago. That rig on Ravencoin at that time was still making $25 a day. It was like, what? Like that now you're not getting that out of 470s. Like if you take 12 470 and then on Ravencoin price right now is abysmal.
Yeah.
But it all depends. That is not the norm anymore. Like I was talking with Seb Hesel the other day, and we were talking about profitability versus yield, and it's really hard for GPU miners to swallow. You will not ROI your upfront cost of your rigs in 365 days anymore. That's gone. That mentality is gone. Wipe it from your expectations. It's gone. Unless all of a sudden something bubbles again. And it's just crazy. Like GPU miners' mentalities have shifted. And I've only been in the space for like a year and a half. It's nutty.
It for me, I've seen it ebb and flow, right? I've seen it shift to from, hey, I'm in it to just make a profit, to pay my bills, to make that extra residual income, passive income. But originally it was, I'm in it because I just enjoy it. I love it, right? So it was a bunch of, kids that, were drinking balls, energy drinks, and LAN parties and playing Counter-Strike 1.3 that wanted to participate in it. And now it's more of, okay, well, how can I make passive income? Let me tell you a quick story here, because we got about 8 minutes left on the stream. My buddy bought a bunch of Litecoin when it was like 100 plus, like $100 plus. Litecoin right now is what? I don't even know. Litecoin is at $69 right now. So this is pre 2017, right? In the 2017 era. So when that real spike happened, he got a bunch of Litecoin, and I told him, before he bought it, I was like, before you do that, let's just build a mining rig, right? Save that money, put it to the side, let's build you a rig, and then you have passive income. Yes, you won't have instant money, right? So if he bought Litecoin at 120 and then it spiked up to whatever the all-time high in 2017 was, he could have sold it at a profit and made pretty decent money. Yes, but he held. It went down, the market crashed, and so he sold at a loss. But if he would have built the rig when I told him to, he would have still have passive income, and he probably would have been up compared to his original position. So it's a catch-22, right? Yes, you can go and take the same money that you would have built the mining rig and invest it in some coin. Maybe that coin would do good, but that's a risk that you got to be willing to take. If you're not willing to take that risk, here's something that's a little bit more challenging for a newcomer, right? Not everybody knows how to build a computer, but today's world, there's so many guides, right? There's plenty of people like the Hobbyist Miner who will share information, show you how to do stuff, that you can learn something very easily. Take the challenge yourself every day, try building a rig, and then let it eat. Let it stack them sats. And then one day you turn around, you're like, oh, wow, I got a number of Satoshis in my wallet. Or, oh, wow, I got a number of Gwei in my wallet. It adds up over time. But the mentality for miners has shifted. I think most of the people are in it right now to make that passive income, make that profit, and get out, which is why we're going to see when the ETH merge happens, the secondhand market get even further saturated, because all of these people mined a bunch of Ethereum, and now they're going to sell their hardware for somebody else to buy, and then they're going to switch to whatever, or they're going to hang on to their Ethereum, or they're going to become a validator. I think a lot of farms, especially like ASIC manufacturers who are farming and testing their equipment on the side, I'm 99.9% sure they are a validator, right? They got their 32 ETH or whatever. They got validators set up, configured however they want, and then they're done. But they're going to continue to make ASICs, in my opinion, but for other cryptocurrencies. It's always been a cat and mouse game. New cryptocurrency comes out. Oh, we're ASIC resistant. They build an ASIC for it. Then they switch to algo. Then we move to that algo. And then it's just a cat and mouse game. There's always going to be a machine. For every lock, there is a key. So it's always moving forward. But that's good. That makes technology progress. That makes technology grow. And so we're going to see a whole new world when an ETH switches over, where all the miners disperse amongst the various cryptocurrencies. And we see the hash rate and difficulty level. So I'm very interested. I'm very excited for what's going to happen in the long run. But we'll see. We'll see how things pan out.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize that they're spec mining right now.
Right.
Like most of our community in the GPU mining scene right now, you're spec mining. It's exactly what you're doing. If you're mining Ergo or Ravencoin or Ethereum Classic right now, by the time you take out your electric rates on there, you're pretty much spec mining. You know, people have always looked at spec mining like, oh no, I don't want to waste my money on that. I need profitability, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, but now in the markets where it is, spec mining is acceptable. Spec mining is a norm. Yeah, so I'm excited for it. I was looking up a few things on my previous comment. So those 12 RX470s now make $3.70 a day versus then going back, you know, 2 Februarys ago, it's $25 a day. It's insanity. And to talk about network hash rate, where people are trying to understand that on network hash rate, I was looking some of that up. So I was making, out of my 12 GPUs, I was making about 10 Ravencoin a day then on those 12 RX470s. Now on behind me, I don't know if you can see it, but I have a 6500 XT on a test bench making 11 Ravencoin a day. So think about that, guys. Like, based off of the network hash rate and difficulty, for those of you guys that are super new to mining and you're just coming across Serpent's channel, go back 2 Februarys ago, 12 GPUs, all 4 gig cards, 10 Ravencoin a day. Now, 1 GPU, lower hash rate too. I mean, this thing's on Ravencoin is like 8 mega hash, like nothing, like crazy. It's still doing 10 to 11 a day. So, I mean, we're all spec mining now, and it's a hard pill to swallow, 100%.
Since we got a few minutes here, real quick question. Do you think
Sure.
mining will die, or is mining dead after the ETH merge? Yes or no?
I don't think so. I think it's really going to come down to, I think we're going to lose a lot of people because it's either going to be abysmal, and there's 2 ways to go. It's going to be abysmal for us GPU miners because profitability is going to be close to 0, or we're going to see a crazy bubbles. And I'm really interested in some of these additional tests that we're going to be doing that occur, because it's like, okay, as we saw on that one little situation, when we add network hash rate of Flux, Ergo, Ethereum Classic, Ravencoin all at once, their value goes up. So I'm hoping that if that trend continues, my answer is absolutely no then, because the amount of hash rate that's going to come from Ethereum when proof of stake hits is going to be insane. Absolutely insane. What about you? What are your thoughts?
100% no. 100% no, baby. Miners are adaptable. I mean, maybe ASICs not so much, but GPU miners are adaptable. That's why you have that flexibility. You can switch algos, you can switch cryptocurrencies, you can shift your horizons. And I believe the thing is I like the chase. I like the challenge, right? Oh, new coin comes out. Cool. What does this algo do? All right, what's the best core? What's the best mem? There's always going to be something new to chase down in this spec mining age of cryptocurrency. But I can honestly say that there's always going to be an opportunity for miners to make a profit. It may not be as profitable as right now. Like, say, for example, my rigs are making $50 a day. You know, the next coin down's making only 38, so I'm losing $10, $12 right there. But when the network hash rate shifts, that may go up significantly. It may not be as much of as Ethereum would, right? So I wouldn't be making 50, I'd be making like 42, 43. But I look at what I'm actually earning, guys. I look at not the dollar value, not the fiat value. I look at what the actual cryptocurrency I'm earning. You know, 1,000 Raven, 800 Raven, or you know, so much of Ethereum Classic. That's what I focus on. And what I notice is no matter when the price is up or down, because the hash rate and the difficulty is the same, I'm still making the same amount of GUI. I'm still making, well, not GUI because the difficulty bomb went off, but you know what I mean? In the other currencies, I'm still making the same amount of the currency. It's just the price of which that currency is valued at went down. But I think mining's not dead. And I'm excited for the future. I'm excited to see what updates. More updates will come in as we move forward. Keep an eye on Bits Be Trippin'. Matter of fact, check out this video. I'm going to link it in the chat. He raised some good points. He just wanted some answers. He wasn't able to get answers. I'm not able to get answers either on whether or not OpenSea, Uniswap, MakerDAO, major dApps on the Ethereum ecosystem have confirmed, they tested with, whatever they have as far as a checklist and make sure that everything's good.
So when the merge comes, everybody's good to go, because that's a lot of assets. That's a lot of NFTs, a lot of money that are on these platforms. And if there was a bug or an issue, that could impact a lot of people's livelihood. So I'm hoping somebody's talking in the background, they're communicating. We'll see how things go. That was the major point of today's video. The merge is coming in August. We'll see what happens after June 8th with Rasputin. And keep an eye on the Hobbyist Miner. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, as well as myself. We'll keep you guys up to date, give you the how-to guides and the whole nines. So I appreciate everybody coming and hang out, especially the Hobbyist Miner for spending some time with me. We need to hook up some again sometime in the future. But I appreciate you having on, brother.
Thank you guys very much.
All right, so you guys have yourself a wonderful day. I will get out of your hair. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell to stay up to date. Make sure to check out some links in the description, which I need to throw his channel in there. That's my bad. As well as any other links to help support the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.
See ya.